Man, what's cracking, gang? It's T Nasty, and I'm back with another banger for you guys. So, UFC 307 is in the rearview mirror. It was definitely a night of fights that happened. There were a few good moments and highlights, but overall, pretty forgetful card, to be honest. Pereira and Khalil went to fucking war, with Pereira picking up the round 4 TKO. Shout out to Khalil, man. Nobody expected him to do that good, and he arguably gave Poatan his toughest test yet in the UFC. Perhaps what was even more surprising is that Pennington versus Pena actually wasn't a terrible fight. Raquel actually was trying to win that fight, and she managed to hurt Pena bad in the fourth round and actually dropped her. Unfortunately for her, though, she fought on one of the worst judging nights I've ever seen. That may be the biggest talking point of this whole pay-per-view is judging and refereeing needs to be fixed ASAP. Raquel got robbed so bad, it's just ridiculous. It's insane to me. But surprisingly enough, Mario Batista had the most sport-killing performance of the event, going full-on Marab on Jose Aldo and somehow winning without even trying to win. So that was awesome. But for real though, I thoroughly enjoyed that main event, so I'll give UFC 307 the pass. So we're going to get into the fights to make for all the big winners and losers of UFC 307. But before that, I'm about to hop on a call with the boys. So I'm going to make a quick cut. We're going to go over our instant reactions to the fights and the results of our fantasy draft. And then I'll be back at the end to go over the fights to make for all the winners and losers from UFC 307. So I'll be right back in a second, y'all. Make sure to stick around to the end and see how I did on my picks as well. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the UFC 307 post-fight show. You know me, I'm T Nasty. I got my boys with me. I got Brendo.
Yo.
And then we got Nick Druss back again. So what's going on, guys? UFC 307 just wrapped up. We're here to give our instant reactions to what went down at the pay-per-view. We're here to go over the results from our draft we did the other day. So, guys, what's your instant reaction to that main event, man? It was a crazy-ass fight. Friggin' no one expected Khalil to do that good. How did you guys see that fight going?
Khalil was holding. He was in the first. I didn't see the first round, but it looked like the second and like mid to early third round. He was holding him. He's kind of piecing Alex up a little bit, and then in that third round, it was just over for him.
Yeah.
He just got hit with jabs, and the blood started flowing.
Dude, yeah. He got busted up bad in that last round, dude. That shit was crazy. You know,
I thought he was winning for sure until that fucking third round. Like honestly, like a couple minutes into the third round, once he started falling off on the stamina, it was just over after that.
yeah, I mean
There was nothing else they could do.
that first round was definitely close, but then in the second round, Khalil dropped him at one point, and like it really seemed like he was starting to land his shots and find his timing on Alex, but eventually in that third and fourth round, Alex just started turning it up on him, and he was just relentless in there. The body shots were nasty, the combinations.
Oh yeah, he got too exhausted too fast, and just let his guard down.
So Brendo, I know you had Khalil on your draft team. How confident were you going into that fight that Khalil would get it done?
I mean, the outcome is about what I expected the outcome to be.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I still thought Khalil could get it done, and I mean, I think he proved in the very first couple rounds, like in the first and second rounds, that like he was there, like he can get it done. He just didn't find the right shot.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely proved he wasn't a can. Like he was there to bring the fucking fight the whole time. And
I think he's put the best fight against Alex so far. At least, I mean, between him and Yuri, it would, I guess, be like a decent, like who did better. But
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Nobody put up that good of a fight against Alex except for Izzy. He's the only one who's been able to do anything to him.
Whenever he knocked him out.
Right.
And the first fight.
Nick, what do you think? Did you think there was any chance at all that Khalil would be able to pull it off, or even put up that good of a performance against Alex?
Honestly, I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a pretty match fight throughout the whole thing. I was hoping Khalil would win for the sake of the draft, but
me too, brother. Me too. We'll get to that in a minute, y'all.
Champion was.
All right. Well, any last comments on the main event, boys, before we move on?
A good war. Great fight.
Yeah, great ass fight. Shout out to Khalil, man. No one expected that from him. He really showed his heart. But before that fight, in the co-main event, we had, in my opinion, what was a terrible decision. I thought Rocky Pennington did enough. I thought she took rounds 1, 4, and 5, but We saw and knew Juliana Pena became the 2-time bantamweight champion by winning a split decision. Nick, I know Rocky Pennington was on your team. How upset were you at that decision?
I was as soon as I saw her get taken down the first few times, I was pretty pissed, and I kind of knew the fight was over for her. Especially, she wasn't really like putting up that much of a fight. It was really like a stalemate half the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially that second and third round when she had her back the whole time.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was overall like most boring fight of the night, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean those were really the only moments Pena had in the whole fight. I mean, she got dropped bad in round 4, and she was getting pieced up in round 5. She looked tired towards the end of the fight. So I mean, I was really shocked whenever they said that Rocky won. Brendo, how did you feel about it? I know Pena was on your team, so you benefited from this win for sure. But were you, whenever they were reading the judges' scorecards, did you think Pena did enough to win it?
I thought they were going to give it to Pena just because the judges being the judges, but I think Pennington definitely did enough to win. Like, especially after like looking at the numbers and like on the fucking like strikes landed and stuff. I definitely thought she did enough to win, but I mean, yeah, I'm not complaining about Pena getting the belt and me getting a point. So
Yeah, I mean,
not too unhappy.
yeah, it was definitely better for the sport. Like I said in the pre-show, I don't know if y'all remember, but like I really thought if Pena won, it would be what would save the division. Like now we got a couple big fights coming up. We could do her versus Amanda, her versus Kayla. I mean, we'll get to all that later, but like, do you guys think that that fight was better or worse than we thought it was going to be? Like I personally thought that fight was going to fucking kill the sport. I thought it was going to be the most boring fight ever. It definitely exceeded expectations in my opinion. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, it was definitely a pretty boring fight, but like, it was watchable. It wasn't anything that like wanted to make me like turn off the fucking fight. It wasn't like can we just fucking. It was like can we get to the next fight, but it wasn't anything like too crazy. It wasn't like extremely boring.
Mm-hmm. Nick, what do you think?
It wasn't killing me.
Nick, on a scale of 1 to 10, how entertained were you by that fight?
Yawn. That fight was honestly. I didn't even want to watch it. It's like either nothing was happening or something was happening, but nothing too crazy. Nothing to make you would want to keep staring at the screen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that knockdown was pretty hype in round 4, but aside from that, it was all yawns. I mean, honestly, like this is something I never do during fights, but I literally got up and went to the bathroom and missed the entirety of round 2. Like that's how bad that fight was. I told you all in the pre-show I was probably gonna skip this fight. Obviously, I didn't because I'm a diehard MMA fan, but that fight was very boring. But anyways, moving on to before that, we had another robbery, which we're going to talk about for sure. The judges were on some bullshit tonight, but Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista, another questionable scorecard. I thought Mario won, but I definitely could see people arguing. But they gave it to Mario ultimately by split decision. Once again, screwing out my boy Nick. Nick, how did you feel about that decision as well?
I was pissed. But they outstriked him, out-defended every one of those takedowns. He never got a single takedown. I think it was like 10 or 11 takedowns. Not one landed. He was piecing them up. He was hitting them with the combos. I think he definitely outstriked him. He could have threw more legs. Like he could have thrown some like nasty legs in there, but the decision was honestly a really, really bad decision. I mean, I thought Mario Batista put up a good fight for sure, but I definitely think Jose Aldo should have took one.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little upset for sure. I thought Mario was low key going to win going into it. I picked Jose, but I had a feeling Mario was going to take it, and he put up good performance. Like it's very hard to do good job against Aldo, especially if you're going for a grappling heavy game plan. I mean, we saw Marab, he literally shot like 16 to 20 or something takedowns and didn't get a single one. So not surprising Mario couldn't take him down either. But like in my opinion, I don't know why he just didn't abandon that and try to strike with Aldo more. But I mean, ultimately he got the win. Brendo, it definitely benefited you. How did you feel about that decision? Did you think it was good, bad? What did you think about it?
I think it might have been the right decision, but it was a pretty lame game plan. It was a pretty boring fight style, but it's whatever. I wanted to see Aldo win, even though he wasn't on my team. I wanted to see him get another win under his belt, maybe go on another title run.
Yeah.
He was looking pretty good on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, Jose's striking has always been elite. The only thing that upset me, like I'm sure you guys heard them say on commentary, but Jose has just completely abandoned his leg kicks. Like that used to be his go-to technique. He would destroy dudes' legs back in the day, but now it's just pretty much all boxing. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if that's why he won or lost or anything, but I don't know. It's really just sad to see the downfall of Jose Aldo. Hopefully he can get maybe one or two more and get back to form. But I don't know. I think Jose might be cooked. What do you guys think?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, whenever he retired for a little bit, he went and did some boxing, didn't he?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
he
I think that's probably why he's like started to abandon the leg kicks. He probably got just used to boxing and then
for sure.
stopped training the head for the leg kicks.
Yeah, he definitely did. At least I know he boxed Jeremy Stevens on one of Jorge Masvidal's cards. I think he might have done another boxing fight as well. I can't remember though. But yeah, that's got to be why. But anyways, that was another bad decision. And then before that, we had a bit of a confusing one with the ending of Kevin Holland and Roman Dolidze. Now, this benefited me. I definitely got lucky with this one for sure. But it seemed like somewhere in that scramble at the end of the round that Kevin tore or broke his rib at some point or something. And then he was the rest of the round he managed to survive because Roman was just freaking going ham with the ground and pound. I'm surprised the ref didn't just stop it, honestly, because it was getting pretty crazy there for a second. And Kevin, his body language looked terrible. But what did you guys think about that stoppage? Do you think Kevin should have tried to like keep going, or like what did you think about it?
I think Kevin definitely should have tried to keep going. I never like to see like the fight just stop in between rounds. That's pretty lame to me. But like, I mean, if you can't fight, like his coach was saying, if you can't fight, you can't fight. So I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, it's definitely very confusing. I didn't really know what was going on at first until the replays.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he got caught with something nasty and then just was hurt. But
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Nick, what did you think? Do you think Kevin Holland is a bitch for quitting, or do you think he made the right decision?
I definitely agree with Brenda. I mean, he broke his fucking rib. I can only imagine, like, I don't know where it was. I can only imagine how hard it was to, like, breathe and actually, like, keep putting up a fight. Especially the way it was where Roman was just on top of him, like, just hailing fucking
For sure.
fire down the whole fucking round.
For sure. I mean, I've heard that rib injuries are one of the most painful injuries you can have, and like it literally hurts just to even breathe, let alone be in a fucking fight. So, I mean, shout out to Kevin because he didn't want to quit. You could see he wanted to keep fucking going, but his coach was like, dude, like if you can't fight, you can't fight, and his coach is ultimately the one who called it off. So, but yeah, I mean, shout out to Roman. I mean, he had a pretty decent performance for as long as it lasted. He picked up the win there, although injury TKO, a win is a win, and he's gonna keep moving on, but. Before that, to open up the main card, we had Kayla Harrison picking up a decision win over Caitlin Vieira. Nick, how excited were you whenever Caitlin landed that big elbow and seemed to hurt Kayla in the second round?
Oh, I was hyped. That elbow looked absolutely vicious. The welt it left on her head.
Yeah, dude, that nasty little knot right here on her forehead, that was gnarly.
I was excited, but I mean, honestly, can't say that she would have won. I don't have anything against Kayla Harrison winning the fight. She fucking did damn well good with not only the striking, but she held her own on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, two-time judo Olympic gold medalist. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. I thought personally that she would have a much easier time taking Caitlin down. I thought she was going to get the finish, like I said on the pre-show, but Caitlin proved to be a tough opponent, even on the ground. She landed that big elbow, had a couple good moments. Brendo, what did you think about Kayla Harrison's performance tonight?
I thought that she definitely put up a good performance, and I think people might have been underestimating what Kaylin Vieira, or however you say her last name, might be able to do. Or maybe people are slightly overrating what Kayla Harrison might be able to do. Maybe she might have had a slight off night with not being able to put her away, but I think it was still a good performance by her. And I mean, she clearly still dominated the fight pretty well, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think it definitely, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Like, I think people, I included, were definitely underestimating Caitlin Vieira. Like, she's way better than a lot of people thought. And at the same time, I think we were overestimating Kayla. Like, if you really think about it, before her last fight against Holly Holm, she was fighting Cans in the PFL. And she made it look easy against them, but she's where the best girls fight now. So she's going to be getting a lot harder tests. And she passed tonight, and we're going to talk about this later, but next up for her is a title shot. So shout out to Kayla. Another great performance tonight. Now, that's everything for the main card. We're going to run through the prelims real quick. In the prelim main event, we saw Joaquin Buckley pick up the round 3 KO over Wonder Boy. What did you guys think of Joaquin's performance? How impressed were you by that, Nick? Were you excited?
I was so hyped. That was one of the only fights that I had that on my draft card for the fighters that it made me almost bust. It wasn't looking too good for him. I mean, they in my opinion, they were both like pretty evenly matched throughout the fight. But once that knockout hit, once I saw Wonder Boy go down, absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't have a foot in the race because I didn't have either guy on my team, so I was just hoping for a good fight. And it seemed like Joaquin was going for the wrestling game plan, like he was telling Kevin Holland before the fight, and it just wasn't paying off. But then ultimately he got him with that power shot. I mean, Buckley just has unmatched KO power for that welterweight division. If you get hit by him, you're gonna have a hard time not going down. Brendo, I know you had Wonder Boy. How upset were you when the KO happened?
Man, you just never like to see Wonder Boy get KO'd. That's a sad sight to see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, never happens very often. I think Anthony Pettis might be the only other man to knock him out. But,
I think you're right.
But other than that, I mean, I think it was a good fight. Buckley showed that, I mean, he can stand with the best of them. He obviously has a good wrestling game, and I mean, he might be a problem for the division, really.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's going to be a force in that welterweight division coming forward. Hey, shout out to Buckley. He got that KO for the Lou, boys. You already know.
Yes, sir.
But with all that being said, it is time for us to get into the results from the UFC 307 draft. We're about to announce the big winner and first inaugural T-Nasty MMA champion, and the big loser who will have to perform the UFC 307 rap. So, as you guys remember, the way that the draft scoring worked was if a fighter on your team got a decision win, they would get 1 point. If they got a finish, they would get 2. And then vice versa. If they lost by decision, you get -1. If they got finished, you got -2. And so it was honestly a close race throughout the night. It was neck and neck. One person would get ahead, and then they would go a few back. One person would lose a couple points, and then all of a sudden they gain a couple out of nowhere. But it was neck and neck all night. And ultimately, the final score ended up being Nick Druss, -1 point. Brendo, 0 points. In second place, he's safe. And then in first place, it's your boy T-Nasty. You already know I had to take the inaugural T-Nasty MMA champion. It's not rigged, I swear, guys. I just got lucky. I started off the night at -4 points. Don't call it a comeback because I never left. All right. Brendo, how do you feel about being safe? How do you feel about not having to do the rap?
I felt like I drafted good enough to come in second. Like I said, I was definitely aiming to at least come in second. But if I would have just drafted my first original pick instead of trying to come at Nick and get Mr. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I would have just picked Taylor Harrison. I would have won, but I had to try and come back at Nick and get the points from Buckley.
I respect that. Nick, how upset are you about coming in last place?
Honestly angry. Jose Aldo should have won. I got robbed. There's another fight. That Eeyore fight, I feel like I got robbed in a good couple of my fights.
Yeah, that one. Pena Pennington, you got robbed for sure on that one, in my opinion. I was texting y'all during the fights. I laid out the exact thing I needed to happen for me to end up winning, and somehow the exact thing fucking happened. It was crazy. I don't know, man. I got super lucky, boys. I don't know. Like I told you, my picks are 100% accurate. So, but it happens.
Yeah. If Aldo would have won at all, I think Nick would have, or no, I would have been in last if Aldo would have won, and that happened the same way that I would have went.
Yeah.
They didn't rob Mr. Mario. if they didn't rob Aldo, but
Yeah, I mean this result of this draft here is proof enough that something needs to be done about the judging in the UFC. Like this shit is ruining lives. Like Nick hasn't performed the UFC 307 rap, but so many fighters tonight should have won and didn't. Raquel Pennington lost her title. She should still be champion. A lot of fighters lost out because the way the UFC pays, you get paid half of your money to show up and half of your money to win. And so if you get screwed over by the judges, you just get screwed over half your paycheck. Like that's just not fair in my opinion. But yeah, it's just a shame that the judging screwed over so many people tonight, including our big loser, Nick Druss, which is a good segue. We're going to get right into Loser Challenge. We're going to make a quick cut, and then my boy Nick Druss is going to perform the UFC 307 rap for you guys. Yeah.
Yo, it's UFC 307, let the heat unfold, and the ring where the warriors, the bold, Shama's in the mix, got that fire in his soul, stack of bodies like some Legos, going for the gold. Khalil Roundtree, man, he bring the pain, watch him drop foes, make him feel the shame, and in Utah they shout like it's all a big game, but if it's boring, dog, we ain't playing the same. Alex Paeta, beast mode, can't hold back, dancing in the octagon, ready to attack, with his fist like hammers, he's ready to smack, make you wish you never stepped on the mat. Raquel Pennington, she's throwing down heat, ain't no backing down when she's bringing the beat, watch her fight through the struggle, can't accept defeat, while the crowd in Utah bringing the beat. Jose Aldo, man, he's washed like the tide, once a king in the game, now he ain't got pride, looking like he's past it, trying to ride that glide, but we all know the truth, can't be taking that stride. Shama's laughing, making fun of the scene, this fight night's wild, you know what I mean, embarrassing moments, but we live in the dream. UFC 307, we reign supreme, so let's raise a glass toast to the fight, aggression, in the air, feel the pure delight. We brawling in Utah, it's a hell of a night. UFC 307, bring that heat, let's ignite. Damn.
Yeah, that's it for 307, guys. Thanks for joining me, boys. Like I said, I am the inaugural T-Nasty MMA champion. Not rigged, I swear. But we got another pay-per-view coming up in 2 weeks. UFC 308 coming up. Max Holloway versus Ilya Topuria. We'll be back with the 308 draft, where I will be defending the T-Nasty MMA championship. Who knows? Brendo might be back. I know Nick's not going back. Everyone show Nick love in the comments. He's going to be moving away soon, going off the basics. So shout out to Nick. Thanks to him for doing this. Thanks to both of you guys for coming on to the 307 preview and post show. Brendo, thank you. Nick, thank you. That's it, boys. I'll see y'all later.
All right, gang. Well, that's that. I, T-Nasty MMA, am your new predictions champion. It's not rigged, I swear, like I said, but we're going to be back with the fantasy draft every pay-per-view with the T-Nasty MMA championship on the line every single time. So stay tuned for the next draft in 2 weeks for UFC 308. If you want to be involved in that, just hit me up and we can probably get you in there. But just to wrap up UFC 307, I want to go over my picks and then give you guys my official fights to make for the big winners and losers. So I went 7-5 on my picks for this card. Definitely better than I did on 306, but not great by any means. I got Pereira, Delidze, Harrison, Buckley, Rodriguez, Almeida, and Span correct, with Court McGee, Tisha Pennington, Alexander Hernandez, Mario Bautista, and Juliana Pena proving me wrong. I honestly would have done better if it wasn't for that crooked-ass judging like I mentioned earlier. I'm going to probably talk about that in another video soon. I'm ready to rage and crash out of that right now, but judging needs to be fixed ASAP. How the fuck do you get knocked on your ass and picked apart and then still win the fight? How do you win a fight without even trying to win? Nut hugging against the fence does not win fights, and that shit needs to be stopped. So I know this is a long one, guys, but before we get out of here, I'm going to go through the fights to make real quick for you guys. So for Pereira, the fight for him is Magomed Ankalaev. It's time. No other contenders are more deserving right now, and I want to see Alex tested against a real challenge like that. He isn't even that boring, guys. Like, I know he's a Dagestani, but he has like 6 knockouts in the UFC. Let him have his title shot. He's not a crotch sniffer like some of these other guys, and I think it actually would be a good fight. I do want to see Pereira in some super fights against Duplessis, Aspinall, and John Jones, but we can get to that later. As for Khalil, I think rebooking of the Jamal fight makes a lot of sense. That's the one I want to see the most for him, but there's a lot of exciting matchups for him with other strikers in the division. Just please don't put him against a grappler. He earned the right to never have to do that again with this performance. As for the women's bantamweight title picture, Pena versus Harrison is the obvious fight to make, but Raquel deserves a rematch too for sure. She clearly was robbed of her title. I think she should wait and fight the winner of that title match next, but I could see them matching her up with Ketlin Vieira as well. Mario Bautista needs to be fed to the wolves. Fuck that guy, but the fight to make for him is either Corey Sandhagen or Chito Vera, or honestly, Song Yadong I think would be great because he would hopefully knock him out. Shout out to MMA Guru. He put a hit out on this guy. But he definitely has earned a fight with someone towards the bottom of the top 5, and I will definitely be praying on his downfall from here on out. For Jose Aldo, I don't know what's next for him. It could be retirement again, but I would love to see him stick around. He is still an exciting fighter, and there's good matchups left for him. For me, the fight to make is Dominic Cruz. We have wanted that fight for a minute, and I think it's finally time. And last but not least, my fucking boy, Joaquin Buckley. I couldn't be happier for him, man. His success is something I've been praying for. He's on a title run, boys, now. Nobody noticed, but he's low-key only 2 or 3 wins away from a title shot now. I mean, think about it. Shavkat Rakhmonov is about to get a title shot from submitting Wonder Boy, and Buckley just knocked him out. One of the best strikers in UFC history. He knocked him out. So, Buckley's coming up, guys. Y'all would watch out for him. The fight I want to see most for him is a matchup against Michael Venom Page. I think Buckley is the kind of guy who will bring the fight to MVP, which could get him knocked out, or just produce a great fight, which is what we need. But yeah, guys, UFC 307 is behind us. Like I said, it certainly is a card that happened. Shout out to Cleo and Peloton, though, for real, guys. I already loved them before this fight, but that solidified it even more for me. Fights like that are what MMA is all about, and that just showed that we as a community need to stop these crotch-sniffing motherfuckers who just want to win, and that's it. You fuckers are cooked, and the real fighters that actually come to fight will always be on top. Thanks for watching, guys. I know these videos this week have been long, but it's back to regularly scheduled programs soon. We got 2 more weeks until UFC 308, and then we'll be back with another draft for you. If you're enjoying this amazing content, which I know you do, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, become a member, then duplicate your account and repeat all those steps for me. We are very, very close to 100 subscribers, gang, so you know what to do to that button if you want to see me react to my first ever fight. All right, enough yapping. I'm out. Take it easy, gang.